Let us talk about the black sheep conditioning in a dysfunctional family system. If you want to know who the black sheep is, you have got to pay attention to the quietest member of the family. They are very quiet, they are very composed, they're always in their own little corner. They usually try to stay out of trouble. But even in some cases, you might see them as the kids that are pretty much rebellious. So they will refuse to follow family traditions and norms. They're going to be the ones who are doing their own thing, and sometimes family members think that, they may think that they're big headed, or they may think, these guys want to be like they're the best. They are standing out from the rest because they've got their own way of doing things. It is estimated that in every family, there is usually at least one black sheep in that family. There could be two or three, but the other ones may come into play if, let's say, one black sheep has chosen to vacate the family system for some reason. Maybe they passed on, maybe they just left the unit, or at some point they may sometimes get a new black sheep in that family. So the black sheep of the family is usually the empath. They are very empathic people. Those people, they are the chosen ones. The black sheep is in that unit to break generational trauma, generational curses, generational cycles. Now, when we're talking about the black sheep conditioning, you have got to know that, first of all, you are dealing with a very dysfunctional. Whatever is going on in that unit, the things they do, the things they believe in, all of the things that they're doing are dysfunctional. You could be talking about a family of drunkards. There could be druggies. There could be some things that are happening in the unit and are not right. So as a black sheep, you join that unit because your mission is to set the trend. You need to break cycles and set the trend. Okay, so you are the one who is in that unit to call out at some point and go against, by any means necessary, go against the things that that family believes in. Mind you, when you're around dysfunctional people, then you best believe they are going to do dysfunctional things. They have got very dysfunctional personalities and they have got very toxic behaviors. Now, when you're the only person who is different, who wants to do things in a certain way, who believes in different things, and you're living around dysfunctional people, so they have to make it a point to make sure that they also make your life very difficult. Now, these are people who are not ready to, they're not ready for any form of accountability for whatever it is going on in their lives. So let's say, for example, you have a drunk sibling or maybe a drunk parent, and whenever they get drunk, they are finding a way to get this energy out. Okay, so they are finding a way to run away from their shadows, or let's say run away from their problems. So whenever they come at home, they will find the person, the weakest one, the one they think apparently is the weakest one, and they are going to bombard that person with insults. They are going to bombard that person with a lot of things. They may sometimes end up accusing that person of some things that they even know nothing about. Let's say, for example, they had a problem at their job. They will come back at home and they will make sure that they pump all this energy onto these particular individuals, whatever it is went on at their job when they was at work. They want to make sure that they are running away from that feeling, and they are going to dump those emotions onto the black sheep of the family. Because in their mind, remember, they are dysfunctional. So they cannot see themselves sitting down and having to face those challenges on their own. So they need the scapegoat of the family. That is why you see many black sheep are also becoming the scapegoats of the family. But you see, there is one thing that people don't understand, especially in those family units. There's one thing that those family members do not understand. That particular person, individual who seems to be the quietest, very empathic and nice person, that is the most powerful kid. Now, this power, many of them may come into this awareness. Like, let's say, for example, your parents could have seen you at a very young age, the way you was moving, the way you did things, the way you always did things that would outshine the other family members. But you see, that is where the problem is, because now they feel like you're going to become a threat at some point, even at a young age. Your parents could have seen that you was going to become some kind of a threat in the entire unit, and you was not going to conform with the things that they believe in. So what they now do to make it easy for them to operate, they're going to turn around and they're going to start destroying that black sheep of the family. The destruction comes in so many ways. The destruction comes in the ways they will treat you. They may exclude you from meetings, maybe gatherings. Sometimes you may find that there was a wedding going on, maybe there was an occasion, a celebration going on, and sometimes you didn't attend. Or let's say you could have attended, but still they wanted you to be the last to attend. Even if you still attended, still they wanted you to be the one that actually had the worst dress on that occasion. They didn't want you to be seen. On a very subconscious level, what they are really afraid about is your power. They can feel that there is something in you. And sometimes your parents are looking around and they're figuring out that there's nobody else like you. There is something you have got within you. It is a scary energy for them. They don't know what to do with you. They don't know how to think. Sometimes they are worried about how they need to talk to you. So because of that, the fact that they don't know the appropriate way to treat you or to behave when they're with you, that's when now this whole thing turns into anger. And most of the times they are going to be lashing out at you. So they do not want you to be seen. And most of the times you will even see that anything that you really ever wanted to achieve, your goals, you have dreams, you could have been talking to your parents, for example. You want to grow up, maybe you want to become a pilot, you want to become a doctor, maybe you want to become a nurse, maybe you want to become a lawyer. And secretly, your parents are thinking that they have to do whatever it takes to make sure that you never achieve your goals. So this may manifest in your daily life, even in your teenage life and adult life. It is going to continue manifesting, whereby most of the times they may even sometimes intercept your relationships. They may figure out that you are getting attached to different people. They may be also good people. Your parents may figure out that this person is going to marry to a very good woman, or they are going to marry a very good man, get married to a very good man, and they are going to sometimes even intercept your relationships. And they are going to completely destroy everything that you ever want to build for yourself. Now, the reason of this conditioning is they want to keep you in a little spot. Because you see, it is very easy to control somebody. But before controlling that person, first of all, you need to make sure that you take away their power. So they will silence your voice. Even in family gatherings, if you have even attended in the first place, they will try to make sure that you are the last one to speak. I remember personally, there was this meeting going on at home, and the narcissistic parent was asking it was a very serious question, I remember at that time. I cannot go into the details of what. So I'd already been observing things from a distance. I knew what was going on. And everybody was speaking. The other ones, the siblings said, somebody said, everybody said what they had to say. And then it was my time to speak. Then there was like, okay, Denzo, what is your opinion? What do you say about this? The very moment I started speaking, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting was over. So that is when the narcissistic parent stood up. I said, okay, no, guys, okay, we have had enough, and okay, it's enough discussion, which I'll continue next time, and something like that. That is because when I started speaking, I brought up the exact facts of what was going on. And this was very hard to hear for everybody. So they had to cancel the meeting immediately. So your voice has always been silenced. It is like you always felt that you wasn't seen. You was usually struggling to be validated by your parents. You was struggling. You was always seeking their validation in everything. You were sometimes scared to do the things that you wanted to do because you thought maybe your father will say this or your mother will say this, or sometimes your siblings may not like it, whatever it is you're doing. If it was a job, for example, you go into a certain employment, they may come around and they tell you that that thing is not going to work, you're wasting time. Those kind of, the courses you've chosen, they are not going to take you anywhere. Anything you choose, it is not valid. So a black sheep is a person that has usually been invalidated in everything that they have done from day one. But what is really happening behind the scenes is that you have got a very toxic parent or toxic parents, and then you have got an entire family of dysfunctional people. They have all been conditioned to preserve, so they are supposed to preserve the unit at every cost. And anybody who comes up and stands up against the unit and wants to do things otherwise, now that person is going to be seen as the problem. Is why from a very young age you have seen and you have had people pointing fingers at you and always pointing you out as the problem. As a matter of fact, at some point you have really believed that you was the problem, but you was never the problem. The problem was you were simply around dysfunctional people, so they cannot operate in a normal functioning way. Like I've said, this conditioning starts when you was at a very young age, when you was a kid. And because everybody would see there was something different about you, a different energy, an energy that they don't see in other family members, it is what caused the problem, because now you was being seen as a threat. And for them to be able to thrive on and keep on carrying on with this dysfunction, they always have to make sure that they invalidate you. They had to make sure that your voice wasn't heard. Actually, they also wanted to make sure that you was never seen. You would never make appearances anywhere. Even when it comes to things like dressing, sometimes you saw a lot of black sheeps. They have been poorly fed. Everybody will have a nice meal. The time when it's time for you to eat, you may find that they have given you something, maybe half-baked meat, or they have given you half-cooked food, or sometimes they have overfed you, or sometimes they have not fed you nothing at all. Maybe you returned home and you realize that actually all the food was finished and you haven't actually eaten. Now, most of these things, I'm just giving you examples. But these things, there is something, these behaviors, there is something they do in the mind of a black sheep. So they condition you to fail. They want you to fail at every cost because they have to validate themselves by knowing that you have always been a problem. Okay, so whatever it is you was doing, all the things you believed in, they wasn't valid. So you was the one who was like the odd man out in the family, because they all chose to do different things and you didn't want to participate. So they started to doing a lot of things in your life that would make you feel inferior. So they had to destroy your self-esteem. They also had to destroy your dreams. They had to make sure that you always stayed in that little zone. So whenever everybody was going through something, they would all turn the barrels towards you. And that is the only way they would escape accountability for whatever it is was going on in their lives. So they had to have something like a trash can. Now they would be able to dump their garbage onto one particular individual. And if you have got a family of so many members, for example, so many individuals in the family, there could be 5, 6, even sometimes more. And you have everybody pointing their barrels towards you. you can best believe it is going to destroy your psyche, whereby your mind now will start to see a lot of abuse. Even if you may not really figure it out, you will know that there's some things that are doing or saying that are not pretty much normal, but sometimes you cannot do nothing about it because maybe that time you're still in there under the roof, and you're not ready to move out of the house, and you have continued to see these things happening to you. Other family members can have their way, okay? They can go ahead and get married. They can go ahead and start their own businesses. They can go ahead and finish their courses. They can go ahead and do whatever it is they want to do. Many of them have thrived in so many different kinds of ways. Yes, some of them have not, but many of them have thrived. But when it came to you, you was always the last because you have been conditioned to fail. Because your success is a real threat to everybody, because they know that when you become extremely successful, now they have to look at themselves. They have to sit down with themselves and figure out what it is did they miss along their journey, because they've been operating out of dysfunction. And now, if you come out by some chance and you become successful, which will usually happen for a black sheep of the family, they now have to sit down in one corner and they have to reevaluate their lives, and they have to figure out what it is they missed. Is there something they didn't do? And now they are being forced to be accountable for their own lives. And that is something they don't want to see. So that is the reason as to why, to be able to avoid that accountability, is the reason as to why you see they will start very young, at a young age, to invalidate whatever it is you have going on in your lives. So they will beat down your self-esteem. Most of the times you see a lot of these black sheep, they are struggling to speak. They cannot put themselves out there. They are afraid to be seen. Those kind of things, okay? Even sometimes they get into relationships where they will still be inferior. Some of them may even end up marrying or getting married to narcissistic people, because the only thing they have seen ever since they was kids was toxic people. They have lived in a toxic family. They have lived with toxic family members, dysfunctional family members. They had the narcissistic parent at the top. And this has sometimes, along the lines, brought about some form of codependency within those individuals. And now they have learned how to be codependents. And when they decide to choose to get into relationships, they will also get relationships where somebody else is going to be a boss at the top. So it is a conditioning that happens. But you see, at some point in time, the only thing you need, and the only thing what was supposed to be done, was for you to get triggered, to awaken. Because I've told you, normally, because you cannot change a black sheep, they are always they was born an empath. They will always be an empath, and they will always be the cycle breakers. And in every dysfunctional family system, the cycle breaker is the very first person to awaken. So if you are the first person that has awakened, we're talking about a spiritual awakening, you have been triggered to awaken, then you have best belief you have got work to do. There's cycles to break. You're the one who is going to change the entire dynamics of the family system, and you're going to lead them by example, whether they do want it or don't. So let us know what you think about the video, guys, in the comment section below. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session with me if you want to. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I will catch you guys in my next one. There's the most signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.